Great. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Engineering Alumni Major Panels. My name is Katie Wiley, and I am the Engineering Career Coach in the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. It is a very long center title. We've added to it this year. And I will be hosting tonight. And as we interview these wonderful alumni, I would love for you all to be listening and gain some really great insight because they have a lot of great things to tell you tonight. Joining me tonight are many familiar faces for our students, and I would like to extend a huge thank you to the Tickle College of Engineering, Engineering Fundamentals, the Engage LLC, and Dr. Amy Bagalski for helping me make tonight possible. And before we begin, I'd like to invite Ashley Derthaler to introduce her team and talk about the raffle tonight.
Hi, my name is Ashley Derthaler. I am one of the head mentors for the Engage LLC this year. I have 3 other team members. Only one of them is in the Zoom call right now, who is Michaela, or there's Jonathan. Michaela and Jonathan are both 2 out of the 3 of our team members this year. The raffle tonight is we're raffling off 3 prizes. I will send a Google form link in the chat at the end of each panel. Students can then fill out the form, and then I will send an email out later tonight that will send an email out to the winners tonight announcing that they won. Jonathan and Michaela, do you want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Sure. My name is Jonathan Dunaway. I am a senior in biomedical engineering.
And I'm Michaela McGranahan, and I'm a sophomore in chemical engineering.
Fantastic. Thank you all for being here tonight. We love to see familiar faces. So I think we're going to get started with our panel. If you are here tonight, you are watching the Mechanical Engineering and Aerospace Engineering panel from now 6:30 until 7:15. At 7:15, we'll then switch to Biomed, Nuclear, MSc, and Chemical Engineering. So you all are welcome to stay for all of it, or you can pick and choose where you want to be at any time. But we're going to start by introducing our panelists. And panelists all call out your name just for the sake of simplicity for you not having to talk over each other. But we just want to know what your name is, your area of study while you were here at the university, your job title, your company, and then a brief overview of your job. And we'll start tonight with Sierra.
All right, I honestly didn't think I'll be first, but okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Sierra Ellis. At UT, I got a mechanical engineering degree and a minor in reliability and maintainability. It's like our favorite minor in that department. I currently work for General Motors as a small block engine development engineer. Was there one more question? I think that was it.
Yeah, where are you in the United States right now?
I am currently in Michigan.
Awesome.
So yes, went from Knoxville to Michigan.
Fantastic. Good to have you.
Yes, nice to be here.
Stan, do you want to go next?
Sure. So my name's Stan Hunter. I graduated in 2018 with a master's in mechanical engineering as well as an MBA from UT. So there's a dual program at UT where you can get both master's degrees at once. Before that, I got a mechanical engineering undergraduate degree along with the reliability and maintainability minor as well. I currently actually just started a new job as a research engineer at a startup called Sky Nano Technologies here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we're actually working out of the GIAM campus just across the river from UT. So not too awful far now. So I've been there just a couple months now.
Great, Stan, thank you so much. Pam, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Pamela Battle. I graduated from University of Tennessee and I received a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I currently work for General Electric within our aviation business. I'm located in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area. I've been with the company 35 years and I'm currently an executive in engineering.
Thank you so much, Pam. We look forward to hearing all the answers to your questions tonight. Ariana, do you want to go next, or Ariana? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Ariana Worthy. I graduated from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville this past August where I studied aerospace engineering. I currently work for Northrop Grumman in the DC metro area. I am a mechanical design engineer. So I work in our space system sector. So everything space, that's me.
Thank you so much. Emily Beckman, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm Emily Beckman. I graduated in 2018 with an aerospace engineering degree. Right now I'm a propulsion engineer. I split my time between NASA Goddard Space Flight Center near DC and finishing out my graduate degree at Purdue. So half my time is in Maryland, half my time is in Indiana.
That is very ambitious of you. And last but certainly not least, Jordan, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, certainly. Good evening. My name is Jordan Thompson. I studied aerospace engineering for my undergrad at the University of Tennessee, graduated 2016, and then I was also in the same graduate program as Stan. So I also have my master's in aerospace engineering as well as my MBA. I work for Leidos in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I see there are a lot of us here today. And I'm a project engineer. So I actually just got kind of a new role. Did a lot with IT, but also transitioning into our aerospace division, which is going to be really taking off in Huntsville. So not too far away from you guys in Knoxville.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jordan. And Jordan just recently got married. So let's all give Jordan a little congratulations. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here again. We're excited to hear your answers to some of these questions. And so we'll get on to the next one. Tell us a little bit more about your background. How did you get into the position you are today? And why did you choose that field of engineering? And we'll go in the same order. So Sierra, if you want to go first, please.
Okay, so how did I get to be a development engineer? So my entire college career, I worked for GM basically. I did 3 internships with them before hiring on full time. And then I was in the track program. So GM has this thing called the track program, which it's like a 2-year program and you rotate between different positions without the company to give you a better sense of what the company has to offer and what you actually like. Because you think you want to do something, you get into that role and you're just like, not at all. And then you get in a role that you thought you would never like and then love it. So I participated in that program for about 2 years, and after the end of that, graduated out, exited out, and then got into small block development engineering. So went a kind of full circle because I was in small block validation as an intern, and so now I'm in small block as a permanent hire. So I picked mechanical engineering is because it just fit my personality the best. I think a lot of mechanical engineers always say, I like the hands-onness, I like how broad it is. And so that was why I picked mechanical, because I could do so much with it, learn so much with it, and still be very hands-on. It's not so always in your head, it can really be in your hands.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Stan, do you want to go next?
Sure. So the company I currently work for, we actually create carbon additives using CO2 sequestered from the atmosphere. So it's currently a very small company, just 3 people, and we're going to get a 4th on soon. So I'm actually using a lot of the research skills that I learned when I was an undergrad at UT. So for 2 years when I was an undergrad, I worked for Dr. Kenneth Kim. I believe he's still there, and we actually studied the synthesis of graphene. So that was a great way during school to gain usable skills, make a little money, which was nice, and just learn a lot about how to work in the lab and that kind of stuff, and actually kind of get a little bit of work experience as well. So, looking at my master's, I had the engineering master's and the business master's. That's what kind of attracted me to working with a startup. So this is actually the 2nd startup I've worked with out of school. The first one was a 3D printing focused startup, which obviously, UT has a lot of, research interests in 3D printing with ORNL and all that. So just kind of focusing on where I can apply both the business and the engineering aspect. That's why I'm kind of drawn to startups. So kind of wanted to let a lot of the undergrads and other people know that, there are a lot of startups in the area that do collaborate with UT and ORNL. So if that's something you're interested in, there's definitely opportunities for you there.
Thank you so much. Pam, will you go next, please?
Sure. So one of the things I liked about GE was that they had a leadership development program. And when I was in college, I did co-op, but after graduating, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, what area I wanted to focus in on. And with their leadership program, you had a chance to rotate through different assignments, very similar to what Sierra was talking about. It's a development program. And also while you're on program, you had a chance to get your master's in aerospace or master's engineering degree. And so I got a master's in aerospace engineering. I selected mechanical because of the variety and diversity of the courses that you take, whether it's thermal or machine design. So just such a variety. You take some classes in electrical. And so I just like the variety of it. And then once I decided the industry I wanted to focus in on, that's when I went to pursue an aerospace degree. So that's my background.
Thank you so much, Pam. Ariana, will you go next?
Yes, of course. So I think I'm the newest grad here, literally just out this past rotation cycle. So my background is going to be similar to a lot of you guys' right now. I did like a lot of internships every summer between school years. So I worked with a research lab, I worked with Arconic, I worked with our GE Aviation, and I developed what I wanted to do through those internships. I realized that I absolutely love design work, which is what I'm doing right now. And even in classes, ME 366, if some of you guys haven't gotten to it, it was just one of my favorite classes where I got to actually see a concept come to life in terms of like CAD software. So that's how I figured out what I wanted to focus on. I chose aerospace engineering because I felt like I got the mechanical touch, because any AEs in here know that, you know, those first 2 years are pretty heavy in those ME courses, but then I got to have a little bit of specialization because I was interested in aviation and space. So that enabled me to have a lot of the basics that MEs had, but then to kind of develop not so much like of a minor, but just like a spinoff of ME. So that's how I figured out what I wanted to do. And so now with NGC, because Northrop Grumman is so large, I have a lot of fluidity in my position. So I'm not just working on one specific program. I have the option to really learn and grow with the company as they bring on new contracts, as they bring on new programs. And for me as a young engineer, that really attracted me, because I know that, say in 4 or 5 years, I want to switch over to aeronautics with Northrop Grumman. That is an option I have. I have the fluidity to use both space and aviation inside of my skill set. So that's a little bit of my background, but like I said, I'm a new hire, literally started this week. So everything's pretty fresh for me, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to, you know, be a real engineer, I guess.
Thank you so much. Emily, will you go next, please?
Okay, so chose aerospace. I had known I wanted to do aerospace for a long time just because space and rockets are cool. So I actually sort of started out doing more of the materials side of aerospace. So I did a bunch of research with Dr. Termath, a couple internships. During my NASA internship, I decided NASA was cool, materials I wasn't super into. So when I got back to school from that internship, I switched to helping Dr. Line with some of his rocket research. As a result of that, I got my second internship at NASA with the NASA Goddard Propulsion group, and absolutely loved that. It's a really good group because I feel like a lot of times in the aerospace industry, you have problems where it's a little bit difficult to have a design engineering position that you also get to touch things in. Sometimes it ends up being where technicians and engineers are a little bit separate, but this group is very good about technicians and engineers work together. You get to write procedures and go touch the engines. So that definitely appealed to me. Loved that group, so stuck with them, still with them. And now I'm finishing up my degree at Purdue. And as soon as I finish that, hopefully this December, then I'll be going back to Goddard full time.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Jordan?
So growing up, I always knew I loved airplanes. So I kind of always wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I think my freshman year, I was actually mechanical before I switched over and decided to I would say just go all in and become an aerospace engineer. But it wasn't until my internship at Lockheed Martin, doing a lot of development and design, or working with a lot of the development and design engineers, is when I realized that a lot of the decisions are ultimately made by the business side in a lot of cases. So that's why I went to continue to get my MBA, and led me ultimately to my current role as a project engineer. Similar to Sierra and Natalie, my first year and a half was a rotational program. Just being at a large company, there are a lot of different things that we do. So I had to, of course, learn the ins and outs of the business. A lot of different like IT work, computer engineering, things like that. But it ultimately led me now to being a project engineer where I have opportunities to work with more of our aerospace division within the company. So long story short, I just learned that, I want to be able to combine my business, the business side with the engineering.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Our next question is, what's one tip you wish you got while you were still in school? So hindsight's 2020, right? What's one thing that you wish someone would have told you before you went off and got your first big kid position? We'll start with Sierra.
I guess my first tip would be, I wish I would have known, like, don't think that you're not supposed to be there, right? I think a lot of us get that, was it imposter syndrome really early. So you kind of hold yourself back. You're constantly questioning yourself, stressing out like you're doing something wrong. When you have presentations that they're judging you, when that's honestly not the case at all. I had that really bad starting out, and it took me a little while to break out of it. I think I really didn't break out of it until maybe my second internship, or no, really towards my last one. When I had a presentation on a part that I had been working on the entire summer. So this is like back of my hand, this was my part. So I got to take it to the presentation, and it was like my manager's meeting. Or maybe his manager's meeting. It was a super high up meeting where they want to, see what I did for the summer and stuff like that. And so going in there with this part and having all these people that are levels above me get this part wrong. They're like, oh no, it's this, it's that. I'm like, no, all of you are wrong. I was like, I'm a measly intern and I know something that you don't know. Made me feel so much better. But that was kind of like the first time, one of the first times that I really was like, okay, I'm in this position for a reason. It's not, they're not just doing this to be mean or to make sure I'm tripping up. Like, I'm actually teaching them something. So I would definitely wish I would have known earlier to just realize that I'm here for a reason, and it's not because of this, that, or third, because I can do the job and do it well.
Yeah, that's great advice, Sierra. And actually advice that we heard last night too in some of the other panels is imposter syndrome can be a real thing. And sometimes you still feel that, right? As an adult, like working, like even if you've worked your first time position, you're in your second or third position, you still feel that sometimes. And it's completely natural, and it's definitely a hurdle you have to get over, for sure. Thank you so much. Stan, can you speak to that question, please?
Sure. So I think one thing that I've just kind of more recently come to realize, looking back and everything like that, is just the importance of building relationships, and kind of how the people you know and get to know are some of your most important resources. So like even, if you're a freshman, getting to know your professors, you can land something like a research position, or just, kind of being able to learn from them on a more personal level in office hours, stuff like that. Also getting to know your classmates, even though it is awkward and, you have to make conversation and that sort of stuff. And of course, COVID makes it a lot harder too, but having somebody to study with and kind of bounce ideas off of, to me, it was invaluable in undergrad. Taking that to kind of the job, it's really important to develop relationships on the job, because, especially when you do start a new job or you're at a co-op or internship, you don't really know a lot of what's going on, but being able to rely on other engineers or, people like technicians that really, go in and get their hands dirty, they're going to be the people that can really help you out a lot. So kind of knowing who to ask when you need help or when you need advice is really critical. And it can help you find a job, and it can also help you while you're on the job as well. So I would just say, really focus now on building meaningful relationships and just kind of checking in with people. All that kind of networking stuff that we engineers don't really like to do, but it is really important.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Stan. Pam, you're up next.
So these are all great tips. One thing I would add is the importance of communication. You know, it's one thing to be focused on solving a technical problem, but it's also equally as important to be able to articulate what the problem is and simply talk about what the solution. You know, as Sierra was talking about, you know, she was working on something, knew all the details about it, but if you can't articulate to leadership simply what the problem is and why your solution is the solution that's going to solve the problem, then you've missed an opportunity. So communication is very important. If you can take communication class or presentation skills or whatever while you're in school, I would recommend you do that. If you're co-oping or having a summer internship, make sure you take as many opportunities as you can to present technical content. It helps you with the nerves, and it also helps you build your skills in articulating technical items. So communication.
Definitely, that is an essential skill. I know some people like to call them soft skills, but I like to call them essential skills because you must have communication in your workplace. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've also heard them as success skills too.
Success skills, I love that. I love that. Ariana, if you could go next, that would be great.
Yes, so I would, if I could tell myself anything starting freshman year, it would be to focus on tangible skills. And the reason I say that is because I know a lot of times we focus on getting internships, getting co-ops, and getting the best grades. And while all those things are super important, if you have the opportunity to grab hold of them, it's more important to take away tangible skills from those opportunities, right? So say you don't get an internship your first summer, you know, through college or your second summer even, find a skill set to develop that summer that can be translated over, because I think that when I look at all the jobs I've done from internships and co-ops and researches, that's not the specific thing I'm doing today. The industry is so fluid in terms of what you'll be doing. It's rare that you'll come in with the exact experience that you need for your job. So I would say focus really hard throughout college on, say, developing 2 hard technical skills, because you can translate those skills over to any industry. You can translate that skill over to mostly to any industry, to any job. So if you can really hone in on just developing those skills, whether it is communication, like Pam mentioned, whether it is CAD software, whether it is research skills, you know, figure that out, because what you want, what you like, and what you will enjoy will change over the course of 4 years. But if you develop a skill set that you can take with you and move around, that's going to be the most valuable thing you'll have throughout the 4 years at UT.
I just want to add, you know, Ariana's talking about, you know, being known as a problem solver. So regardless of the discipline, engineering is about solving problems, and be good at get good at that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Emily, if you can speak to that question, please.
So going a little bit off what Pam said, but communication in terms of interpersonal, what you like, what you don't like. Like I said, I started out more materials, switched more to propulsion. That first internship I had at NASA, where I had the materials job and just really wasn't enjoying that too much. I was really bad about not communicating with my supervisor about, like, that really wasn't what I liked, because I was too afraid that I was going to upset or never be able to come back to NASA or anything. But in general, people who are your internship mentors will, and that you're very new, you're still trying to figure out what exactly you like, what you don't like. So, and obviously be nice about it. Don't tell them, like, I hate working with your group, this is terrible. But if you are open with them and tell them that, like, you know, I enjoy working with you guys, but what I really like is working more with engines, less with the materials. So a lot of the time, the companies or organizations you work at do have a bunch of different groups. And those people, a lot of the time, as long as you've been doing a good job, will be very willing to help you figure out how to work with a different group. So if I had brought that up then, they would probably be a whole lot more likely to have been like, hey, we know this group down the hallway. Would you like to go talk to them and see what they do? Learn from them a little bit while you're still here. And then you'd have a better chance of getting back with that group the next summer. So don't be afraid to tell somebody if you're not enjoying what you're doing, as long as you're nice about it.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Emily. Jordan, do you want to speak on that question, please?
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely don't be afraid to try new things, branch out, because while you're still getting your education and when you're early in your career, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for you to just figure out what you do and don't like. And there's really no penalty for you to try new things. And if you don't like it, or if it, doesn't go well for you, doesn't work out for you, try something new. Because as an engineer, just as Natalie said, you're a problem solver. And a lot of these skills are transferable across many different roles, many different disciplines. So if you can find new ways to just figure out what you like and have a unique background where you can really take these skills and hone them, it doesn't matter what your purview is. If you start out mechanical and you're working aerospace, if you're aerospace doing something in a biomedical lab, that background, that problem solving skills and this technical background that you have is what really makes you an asset. So don't be afraid if you start out doing something that you don't like, or don't be afraid to not try something new and just chase one niche area within engineering. Definitely branch out, because sometimes when it gets later in your career, it's not as easy to make those same lateral transitions. So that would be my advice to myself, definitely.
Jordan, thank you so much. For our panelists, in the interest of time, we're going to skip one of the questions. We're going to go to, what's your favorite and least favorite part of your current position? And again, we'll start with Sierra.
My favorite part about my position is when finally figuring out, it's like a lot of us figuring out the issue. So I've only been in this position since January, right? So right before COVID hit, and so working from home. So I'm still trying to learn my position and all the different testing procedures. And in my group, even I've been tasked with running tests that a lot of people haven't ran. So it's trying to find data, find resources, find this and find that. And you think, oh, it's going to be, they're like, oh, it's going to be quick. And it's a couple months later, you're still trying to figure it out. I'm honestly in that position right now with one of my tests. And we're starting to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's that's my favorite part of it, is when it's actually like, okay, I understand this now. I understand what we're doing. I understand how this is working, and we're almost good. So now if somebody else has an issue, I can help them out. So I feel like I'm contributing more even to the team. So that would be my favorite part. Is there a part 2 to that question?
Nope, I think you answered it. Did you speak on your least favorite part?
Oh, no. So my least favorite part is not knowing how to do my job. Sometimes, like they said, having that imposter feeling and feeling like I'm asking, because I'm very much a question person. So if I don't know something, I will ask somebody 1,001 questions. So that's kind of being new into the group. And, as engineers, we want to problem solve. We want to figure it out. But sometimes you just can't figure it out on your own, or you're not going to figure it out as quickly as you can. So I guess it's more of a personal don't like, more than just the job itself. It's a good job, but it's the not knowing everything. Like I said, it's a whole bunch of procedures. People have been doing this for years. And so for me to come in trying to just run with it and be like, all right, cool, this is what you do, this, that, I can't do that. And so it's definitely taking me some time, especially like I said with COVID, everything, to get that momentum, to get that encouragement, to get that loss of imposter feeling that I'm not doing my job correctly.
Thank you so much, Sierra. Stan, would you go next? Sure.
So I'll try to give the perspective of working at a startup in a smaller company. So it's interesting for me because I'm literally, 1/3 of the workforce of the company. So it's that part's kind of cool because, I get to make decisions and really big decisions that will, kind of drive the direction of the company. So that's very interesting. Kind of counter to that, the least favorite part is that working for a smaller company as opposed to a larger company, you really just don't have as much resources in terms of financial or mentorship or otherwise. So, if I have a question I need to ask, there's not like an older supervisor or somebody I can kind of lean on. It's kind of something that I have to, develop myself with my team. So, there's good and bad for working for small companies and big companies, but that's my perspective from a smaller company.
Thank you so much. Pamela, go next, please.
Sure. So what I like about what I'm doing is so I started out as a design engineer working on fan and compressor components of a jet engine, moved over to mechanical design, the exhaust nozzle, whether it was for military or commercial applications. So I was an individual contributor I'm currently in the strategic operations, where we're laying out our strategy for the next 3 to 5 years. So what I like about that is that for every role I've had, I've always learned something. And so just being a continuous learner and just the variety that the company offers, I find that very interesting. I never thought I'd be in this position. I thought I would stay in the design area. But I'm learning a lot. I interface a lot with our human resource, with finance, and also our technology leaders. So I enjoy that when we think about the technology for the future. What I don't like, so Stanley, you were talking about not having enough resources. When you're the larger company, you still don't have enough resources because everybody wants as much money as they can for their project. So you got to look at, okay, what's the return on investment? And so, you have to make the decisions. Okay, do I fund this program or do I fund another program? And how much do I fund each program? So that's always a challenge, and I don't really care for that part, but sometimes you just have to make a decision, and you bet on technology and hope that your bet is a winner. So, but it's fun. It's all fun though. 35 years of fun.
Thank you so much, Pam. Ariana, do you want to go next?
Of course. So for me, I think my favorite part of my job right now is the fluidity of it. So I have such a large scope of work, and for me coming in, the way they're training me up is that I get to see a little bit of every program while I'm building the actual skill set that I need to be prepared to do my job individually. So I think that, again, just for me and my role that I'm in, I get to see so many programs. I get to be introduced to so many different ideas, and specifically I work on the payloads team. So I build hardware for different missions that require various payload options. So just seeing, even me just being in this position is opening my eyes to so many things that I didn't know existed in college. So having that opportunity as an entry-level person, I think is super, super amazing, that I'm learning what I want to do 5 years down the line right now. I'm learning what I want to do in 10 years down the line right now. So I absolutely love that. The least favorite part of my job, I don't have like a least favorite right now. It's an uncontrollable in terms of like COVID. I'm a super extroverted person. So the onboarding process, and maybe for a lot of you guys who may be onboarding in December, or who knows what, May will look like. It is a very different process in terms of navigating how you meet people, how you interact with people. So getting adjusted to a new normal when you were experiencing an old, just that transition, I say, would be the least. I think that we're doing a great job handling it, but it's still not anything what I expected. So, just adjusting to what is now the current status quo.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a really great perspective, because I think some of our students, maybe not these students, because I think most of them are probably first-year students, but our students that are looking for full-time jobs right now are going to be onboarding in a very different work environment than they probably previously thought. So thank you so much for that advice. Emily, you're next.
Yeah, so least favorite part, I do a whole bunch of simulations. So for me, the most annoying part, at least, is when you start a computer simulation that lasts for a really long time, a couple days. You think you know what the answer is going to be, and then wait several days. You're really excited because you think you're going to get your good answer, and then it's completely not what you think it is, or you put something in wrong, and a couple days later you finally find out what the problem was. So that's probably my least favorite part. Most favorite, the propulsion group I'm working with right now is working on making the Europa Clipper propulsion module. So it's really, really cool to know that you're touching hardware that's going to go to Europa, and the stuff that you're doing has a real impact. It's not just theoretical, work this problem from the book, see what happens, or even regular research where in the future we might want to use this engine, but it's actually stuff that we're using right now. So that's my most favorite part.
Thank you so much. Jordan?
So my favorite part about my position as a project engineer is I get to work with a lot of different divisions, or organizations within our company. So project engineer, it's a bit of a deviation from the technical side, but we're still under operations. So, so I'm working with our finance team, our accounts team, our engineers for sure, but even our program managers. So I just really enjoy kind of being a medium between all of these different organizations, trying to translate, what the technical team needs, kind of being the voice of the engineer to the rest of the organization. But with that, I would say if I had to pick a least favorite, it would definitely be the deviation that I took as a career move away from a technical side. And so Pam, I think you kind of touched on that a little bit, when you're speaking about design, but once you get to a project engineer, it's a lot more business oriented. And so I definitely, as an engineer, of course, I miss, doing the calculations, doing the designs. There are times, I'm looking at designs and I really want to have input, and I can talk about it in a casual manner, but, at the end of the day, that's the other engineer's jobs, not mine. So if I had to pick a least favorite, that would be my least favorite.
Thank you so much. Very quickly, I would like all of you to talk about some of the opportunities that your company provides for internships and co-ops. And I say quickly because I would like to give also the students a chance to ask you all some questions as well. So we'll start with Sierra.
So GM has internship and co-op opportunities. The best way to see them would be through the careers.gm site, but they're it's an entire separate program for internships and co-ops, and so they do like kind of rotational things as well. So you come back for different summers. So that'd be the best way to figure some more information out.
Thank you, Stan.
Yep. So like I said, I've not been at the company too long, but it's my understanding that the past couple of summers we have taken on an intern. I would assume it'd be the same this summer. So I'd kind of just keep an eye out for that. It might be something you're interested in if you're interested in research or carbon additives or anything like that. I'd also encourage students to just look generally at, startups in the area, and especially ORAU, Oak Ridge Associated Universities. I know they do a lot of internships. That's kind of federal funding that can help out a small business in the area. So that's something I'd keep an eye on as well.
Thank you. Pam, it's your turn.
Okay. All right. So GE offers internships as well as co-ops. We typically hire mechanical, aerospace, electrical materials, computer science, and a few industrial. I suggest you go to gecareers.com if you're interested. We typically do most of our hiring in the August, September timeframe. So August and September timeframe for the following year. So if you're interested, just send me a LinkedIn request and let me know. Oh, and the minimum GPA requirement is a 3.0.
Thank you so much, Pam. Ariana?
Yes, so for specifically UT students, I know Northrop Grumman doesn't come to like career fairs and stuff like that. So the best way to find internships and co-ops with them is to get involved in professional societies and organizations. For me, I connected with Northrop through National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE. So I attended conferences and things of that nature, and that's how I was able to connect and find my specific role. But I know for sure that they do heavily recruit at NSBE, and I believe SWE as well. Not sure about, major specific societies because I wasn't in them, but I highly recommend that if you are not already, go ahead and start attending general body meetings for those organizations because they add on to your connections that UT provides. So definitely using those resources to find other companies, other internships and co-ops that UT may not directly provide you.
Yes, because that's how I got my internship with GM was through NSBE.
Very good. Thank you so much. And I'm working on getting Northrop Grumman on campus. I've been working on it for the past year. Because of COVID, it didn't happen, but it's going to happen in the future. Mark my words. And you're going to come back. You're going to come back for it. Awesome. Emily, can you speak to your co-ops and internships?
Yeah, so at NASA, we have regular internships. Look at intern.nasa.gov. Also on intern.nasa.gov, there's the NASA Academies. Definitely apply to those. It's like a really intensive summer internship. I did that one summer and it was probably the best summer of my life. It's awesome. There's also co-ops called Pathways. So on those, look at usajobs.gov. Just search NASA Pathways and some might come up. There's also fellowships if you decide to go to grad school. They keep changing names, so just search NASA fellowships and they should come up. Also contractors, if you have trouble getting a job with NASA directly, you can always try working for one of the contractors.
Thank you so much. And Jordan.
So we do have internships and co-ops for, I think, most every concentration of engineering that there is. I know we're coming to UT career fairs more frequently, especially now. I'm at a few of them, so whenever we do go back in person, come by, say hi to me, or connect with me on LinkedIn. But I will say we don't have that many in the area, and this kind of applies across the board. Definitely when you're looking for internships and co-ops, don't be afraid to go to a different area because there might be more opportunities somewhere just outside of Knoxville or your hometown. So don't be afraid to look elsewhere. But we have lots of internship and co-op opportunities for everybody.
Perfect. That is all great advice and great information for our students. So students, I want to give you the floor. If you have a question for any of these wonderful 6 panelists, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask your question now. It took our students a minute last night to type their questions in the chat, so you may have a little awkward pause here. Any questions for our panelists? What's your favorite part about being an engineer, says Marissa. Anyone can answer.
I would say my favorite part about being an engineer is the communication that I get to have. So I know that's kind of probably like, what? But I love the collaborating with different groups, different people. I've learned so much, like I said, in track as an intern, learning things from, my manager, all, learning things from technicians. It's so easy to sometimes be in your own bubble, but engineering really lets you be as extroverted or introverted as you want. So I think that'll be my favorite part.
My favorite part is solving problems where you have a cross-discipline team and you look at a problem as a system and being able to pull in the different disciplines to solve a problem. So I like pulling teams together to solve problems.
Fantastic. I think we're going to cut it off there just in the interest of time. I want to get to everybody's question. Jacob says, for Stanley, what led you to pursue creating your own business with engineering?
Thanks, Jacob. I wish I could say I had created my own business. I'm just a kind of a contributor right now. This is the second startup I've worked for, though, and both of them are kind of green energy focused. So I think that's definitely a big driver is green tech right now. And then, there's also, big financial incentive too. You can go work for, a company for a while, and make a salary and all that, and 401k and all that. But, if you make your own company and then sell it, you obviously are going to get a big payday, especially if you pursue what's called non-dilutive funding. So funding from the federal government, SBIR programs, stuff like that. Then you actually don't have to give up as much of your business if you do decide to sell it later on in the future. So there's a lot of different incentives there, but that's just a couple of the ones that I've seen.
Awesome. I'm going to combine 2 questions here. From Samantha, we have, are internships or co-ops better? And from Fella, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but when do you recommend starting to apply for those?
So I'll kind of tag on here. So internships and co-ops, you can apply as soon as you get to college. I recommend doing that as early on as possible because, again, the more experience you have, the more exposure you have. That helps to, 1, develop what you like and don't like, and 2, it helps to develop skill set that can be applicable for when you do graduate. In terms of which is better and which is not better, there's really no yes or no answer. Speaking from a personal perspective, I only chose internships because I wanted to be 4 years in and 4 years out. That was just my personal approach to school. And so with co-ops, it's super important to look at at your degree course program, because taking a co-op can affect when you graduate and when you come out, and you may have to do either summer school or again take another semester or year. So definitely when you're taking co-ops or internships, just look at how that affects your future in terms of schoolwork. So there's no better or wrong, it's just personal preference in my experience.
Yeah. At NASA, at least, a lot of the time, people will do an internship first, decide they really like that group, and then that group will bring them back as a co-op. That isn't how you have to start. There's certainly people who come in the first time as co-ops, but sometimes internships are sort of pathways to co-ops. So don't not apply to co-ops because you think you need an internship first if you want to get a co-op later on, but sometimes that is how that works.
Thank you so much. In the interest of time, we're going to have to cut off the questions there. In the chat, I'm going to put my email. I can connect you with any one of these panelists. If you have specific questions for them, I'd be happy to connect you. But everyone who came to the Mechanical Engineering and Aerospace Engineering panel tonight, I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you to our students. Thank you to our panelists. I think this has been so informative. And I'm going to throw it to Ashley to mention the raffle.
Yeah, so as I said before the panel started talking, we are doing a raffle tonight. We have 3 prizes up for grabs. I will put a link to the Google form that students are you're more than willing to fill out. I will email the winners tonight, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Okay.